Welcome to the show, Alex Caddick.
Thanks. Good to be here.
It's awesome to be here in your beautiful show home.
Yeah. It's really nice to have you guys in again. I know we took you through it as soon as we opened, and obviously we've had a few minor changes since then. But yeah, one of them being this beautiful dining table here from Innate Furniture. We're very fortunate that Guido and Nick came in and saw us a couple of weeks ago, looked at our furniture and said, "Hey, let's put an upgrade in here."
So good. How did that come about, just out of curiosity?
So I originally met Guido and Nick when I was a flatmate of Guido's years ago when I moved back to Christchurch. So I'd been in Wanaka for 2.5 years. And at the time, when we were looking at moving back to Christchurch, they had a really cool house opposite St Andrews with a pool and a very well-structured setup with a house cleaner, gardener, all those sorts of things. So a very easy transition and yeah, just really genuinely nice people. Actually, saw them start to build their first tables in the lockdown, which was quite cool.
Oh, wow. So you've
Yeah.
known them right from the beginning,
Yeah,
beginning
yeah,
of the
long
journey.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. We were just talking beforehand about what the experience is like to build with, a set of plans or a vision, but to actually experience a property like this that hasn't been lived in, that's purely designed with the consumer in mind. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it must be it must make the sales process a lot easier, surely.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We will have clients sit around this table with us and we'll be presenting plans and they go, I feel like a lot of companies these days push people into a certain spec or rush them to sign a contract. And, design and build isn't supposed to be rushed. It's, you know, a lot of people have spent their entire lives getting to this moment, and you're handling the biggest investment of their lives for a lot of them. So we take a certain duty of care to make sure that we go through the full process of micro detail every room and have them feeling really comfortable about all the product that they're getting. Because their specification document could be 30 pages. They don't have no clue what's in it. But when you have a show home, generally you'll base the spec off of it. So you can go, you're getting this flooring, you're getting this carpet, this vanity, and with our suppliers, that obviously helps us to support them in that regard as well. So it's quite a cool sort of full circle from, originally starting off showing clients homes, if we were fortunate enough that they'd let us come in, and now to have, something as special as this. It's certainly changed the game when it comes to, trying to sell people their dream.
Just take a quick moment to say thank you to one of our sponsors, Gerard's Insurance. I am a Gerard's customer and I am absolutely thrilled to be working with them. They're speedy, efficient, and they just get it done. So get in touch with Gerard's. You won't regret it. Do you ever get anyone that is wanting this spec exactly or
Yeah, we
similar?
we have a real mix.
Yeah.
We have people that come in and would just love to pick this up and put it on their section, and although that would be an easy sell and a very easy conversation, because we know what this cost and we know that we could put it on a lot of sections in Christchurch. Part of our business model is that these are one-off homes that we design and build, and they're never replicated. So that would almost be a disservice to the new homeowner that buys this property off of us. And you'll find that when people come in here, they'll start to understand that they have very, different wants and needs to us or another property that they've viewed. And you get a range of people where you'll say you can have a look-alike product or an engineered product or the real thing. It just depends on what their budget expectations are and sort of the lie of the land. And from that, we're even now getting people where this is their benchmark and they're speccing up, which to me blows my mind because this for us was the highest spec we'd ever done. So it's really cool to see that we're capturing everyone in the market, right from your, first home buyers to, people that have saved their entire lives to build their final home.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's so cool. Yeah, I remember that first conversation we had on the phone and you were telling me about the show home, and then I'm establishing this vision in my mind of what it's like and what it'll be like, right? And then I remember that first time visiting you here, I was just like, far out. This is way, way different than what I was expecting.
Yeah, I did a lot of research on our competitors in Christchurch when we were doing our designs, and went incognito into their show homes and looked at parts that I liked and looked at parts that I thought could be adjusted or done better. And we've had a lot of other people from different building companies come here and do the same thing. And you don't mind because you're all trying to learn and you're all trying to make the industry better because, that will result in everyone having a beautiful home no matter who they're building with. I think the biggest thing for us is that we're just really proud to be a part of such a cool national brand. It's our design, having an in-house design team that's capable of designing houses like this as a one-off and not, replicating it and copying details, that's quite unique. And I think because of that, you'll notice all of our houses across New Zealand all look very different, but it's the same core group designing them. And I don't think that can be said for a lot of other people on the market.
Yeah, pretty unique offering.
Mm.
Unique structure as well, right? Like
Yes.
I don't know exactly how other building companies work, but I guess there's quite a mixed array in the market, right? Like the
Mm.
one-off builder operating just as a solo operator through to the larger chains and then everything in between.
Yeah.
And so how do you guys work? What's the structure?
So we are part of the Design Builders Group. So we are a JV model, like joint venture. And because of that, we aren't competing against each other in the group. So we're very much an open book and trying to help each other improve, trying to figure out new products that we can get, at a cost-effective rate for our clients. And through that, our CEO and general manager secure a lot of national supply agreements for us. So a lot of companies will say, they're tier 1, 2, 3 supply agreements that we get the tier 1 agreement. So because of the volume that we all collectively put through.
Yeah, nice.
So, Paul and I, when we were doing stuff on our own, we would struggle to compete with a business like this now because the discounts are just so much bigger. And because of that, our clients are able to build these beautiful homes for a more cost-effective price.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so there's economies of scale plus the, I guess, additional support business-wise and
Yeah.
just the learnings through the other JVs throughout the country.
I can pick up the phone at any point if I'm confused about something or need some advice, and they will pick up that moment or call me back 10 minutes later. We all like to help each other out, and where a lot of companies have been, struggling in this recession, we've still continued to grow. We've refined our processes. We've come up with, a range of new documents that we're using as a group, and really spent the time to dial in on how can we build the best product possible. And through that, we had one of our regional partners, Sam, formulate a 500-point checklist, which is completely micro adjusted to our process. And it's really, really cool we're just starting to roll that out because we all had our own, processes and things we followed and sort of followed a general roadmap. But it's really cool to see the time and effort that one of our regional partners put into that. He shared that with the whole group.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's awesome. And we all have our little things that we input. And for us, our clients are going to get better houses for it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
That's so good. Yeah. And so building in Canterbury, but then also a bit down south as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we've got clients all over the South Island, really. We would sort of go anywhere from Nelson all the way to Queenstown. We would potentially look at Dunedin, but, we're completely honest with people when they come to us that far down south. We don't have the connections down there yet, and we're still trying to establish them. But for us, one of our core values is quality is non-negotiable, and we don't necessarily just trust contractors. We have to vet them. We have to get referrals. We have to talk to other master builders and figure out whether they align with our core values and our quality. Because for us, a lot of people in the trades could think we're quite tough on them, but we're trying to get the best product possible for our clients. And we've got some, pretty fantastic homes being built in Wanaka at the moment as well. They're of a very high spec, and our clients have been really, really happy with our process. And because of that, we will be doing weekly site visits, which for a Christchurch-based company, a lot of them do monthly. We're driving down every week and just checking up on them.
Yeah. Committed.
Yeah, but also, can listen to your podcast on the drive and a few other
It's
things.
a good
Makes the
call.
day go quick.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned something at the beginning about having a few uncomfortable conversations with the sub trades
Yes.
about, coming back to do some fixes and that. Something I've always noticed with you is your ability to communicate like really well.
Mm.
Is that something that you've always been working on, or is it something that you're naturally a good communicator? Or
Thinking back, I was never one that was afraid to do public speaking at school. I enjoyed doing the arts and drama and directing and that side of things, and was very passionate about that. But on the other hand, I didn't know where that career would lead me, and I came from a family of born and bred tradesmen, and I sort of followed in my father's footsteps in that regard. I was very fortunate that the there was an offering from the builder that he did his apprenticeship through, and I just sat down with him and he said, "Look, you just do an apprenticeship from there. You can do what you want, but at least you got something behind you." And that was probably the first time I'd ever listened to my dad at that age, and I'm really glad I did. It's really set me up for quite a cool life where I can really show my passion for the industry that, I was the kid that was helping on the tools at 4 or 5 years old. Like it's just always been, the way things are. And it's pretty cool to be in business with him now as well and see the passion that he still has after 45 years in the industry.
yeah, so cool. How long was the apprentice program, start to finish?
So I did my apprenticeship in 2.5 years. At the time, most people were doing it in 4, but I did all my paperwork really quickly, and I did night courses to enable me to do all my building calculations quickly. But it just wasn't something I ever struggled with. I always was quite good at math at school and understood complex numbers, and I did geology as well. So when it came to learning topo maps and how to, figure out heights of buildings and things, I didn't find that difficult at all. And that's normally the bit that people struggle with, is actually envisioning how you're going to construct it, your elevations, your square meters. And that's what takes apprentices a while to figure out. And then, it's on the business owner or, labour only carpentry owner or whoever they're doing their apprenticeship with to actually sign them off at a state where they are competent. If they left, they could do the job by themselves. And for a while, you know, during the boom after the earthquakes, people were a little bit quick to sign people off and not put in the work. And from that, the industry got audited a bit more, and now they've got a far more user friendly apprenticeship that is not so paperwork heavy and is more sign off verbally, which is quite cool because that could hold people back for a year, 2 years. So it's nice that they've listened to your Joe Blogs builder out of high school and they feel like they have a voice now. It's pretty cool.
So how does it work if you're like a year 13 student, say, that's looking at getting into building?
Yeah, so I do some careers events. I'm a part of the St. Bees Old Boys, and went to college there for 5 years, and went from 2008 to 2013, and from that we essentially they'll send out an email saying, "Hey, we're doing a careers expo," and I always put my hand up and go, we do need more young men and women, but I went to an all boys school, so for me I want to see young men in the industry, and we just set up a little stand and you'll have a handful of people who go, "Oh, I've been thinking about doing an apprenticeship. Is there any career path for me in your business?" And at the time, it might be that I know one of our contractors needs an apprentice and they could go and do a bit of free labour on a Friday, or from that, they could line up an apprenticeship by doing a program at school for a year or two. So the career pathways are definitely adapting to when I did a trade out of high school, it was really frowned upon, and a lot of people thought I was doing the wrong thing. But a lot of those people would actually probably be coming and asking me for a job now. So I'm really, and my father was pretty stern, like, the trades have done me well, they've done our family well. Just get that behind you, and then you can go and do, something else. And I think trades are almost the cool thing to do these days. So
Yeah,
it's funny how it's changed, quite a lot in a little amount of time.
it is funny.
Mm.
Yeah, I just think about like AI and just, a lot of the jobs that may be replaced are not necessarily the trades. They are the
Yeah.
more professional
Yeah, if
services,
you
for
can work
example.
with your hands, I'd say you're not going to be in trouble.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. I was definitely in
Yeah.
a school that was heavily guided toward university,
Yes.
and that was definitely not the right place for everyone,
No.
myself included. So
Yeah, I think if I went to university now and I was as passionate about a topic as I am about this business, I would excel. But at the time, I would have just dropped out and failed and not felt good. Um, Whereas, you can prove yourself through hard work in a manual labour job.
yeah,
And yeah, it was quite cool to, eventually I was able to build my first house by myself. You can make a lot of money doing projects like that. So
hmm
it's yeah, it's quite cool to, have that skill in it. As much as I might be a little bit rusty now, it never goes away.
yeah, no temptation just to get straight back out on the tools then.
No,
No,
no, I like doing the part that I always felt was missing when we were contracting to other companies was we didn't get to see the clients because, normally with your health and safety on site, you need to have the project manager there. And then a lot of the time you won't want to be operating power tools and all those sorts of things just because it is a risk to the public. And that's why you'll drive around and see site fencing up and health and safety stickers blasted everywhere saying stay off. And we're the same. Our contractors don't mind when we bring our clients to site. They'll sit down and have an early lunch or actually get to meet them, interact with them, and realise that, the job that they're doing, once you put a face to it, it's a different quality people put out because they're like, oh, yeah, these are nice people. We're building them a really cool house. Let's make sure we go over and above. And, it could be something as small as some homemade scones or something, those little things really go a long way with your
100%.
contractors.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I think for a lot of dynamics, right? Whether it's
Mm,
buying or selling a service or just getting to know the people that you're doing business with, I think that is a bit of
definitely.
a hidden gem.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah. What do you do to upskill, Alex? Do you listen to
Mm.
podcasts? Do you read books?
I listen to a lot of podcasts. I watch a lot of YouTube tutorials. I research a lot on AI, all sorts of stuff. I'm constantly upskilling. The biggest thing for me is probably tutorial videos because a lot of the software I'm using to a degree has to be self-taught because we're always trying to use new stuff as it comes out and you don't necessarily have, you know, the time to find a consultant that is working in that niche app. So because of that, the apps actually have adapted to having a lot of tutorial based videos. So I spend a lot of time researching those, and you'd be so surprised how much more efficient you can become when you are utilizing, all of the new micro adjustments they're constantly making.
Yeah, totally.
Mm.
And are you using AI? Using
Every
ChatGPT?
day,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, nice.
Yeah, so I've got my AI to a point where just recently I was putting together a contract for a client and I was getting it to QS against me and it came up with the same figures and I still did it manually because I'm not certain that I trust it yet, but I'm building more and more trust in it and the fact that it's getting it right. But from a lot of research with prompting and patience and treating it, essentially like a human, which sounds a little bit silly, but yeah, you can't just expect this perfect output if you don't put in the work to tell it what you need it to do.
Yeah, yeah. I've started using manners with it,
Mm.
just in
Yeah, I say
case.
thank you. Like it. Yeah, it's nice.
It's nice to be
Yeah,
pleasant,
it
right?
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would be the time comparison on that example that you gave, the
Oh,
QSing of the project?
I reckon you could instantly cut 3-4 hours out of that.
Really? That
Yeah,
much?
big time.
Wow.
And that's on one task. There's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of time that we spend, or every business owner spends, when you're putting together a contract for a client. And it's, you know, this is a big life event and you want to make sure that you've captured every email com and every change and everything that they're wanting in this house. And you want to be able to get to the contract stage. And when they're asking you, oh, have you done this? Have you allowed for that? You have. And you're trying to not, you're trying to eliminate any nasty surprises during construction. And from that and from the procedures that we have in house, you can encapsulate that data not easily, but I put in a lot of effort to encapsulate that data. But the end result is you have a client who knows what they're getting, you have contractors that know what they need to do, suppliers that know the product, and you yourself, you know, you're all dialed in together, and you can create a superb product when no one's second guessing themselves. And that's normally the flaw with a lot of things. It might be a detail on a set of plans isn't quite perfect. So then a contractor goes, oh, but I've done it as per the detail. For me, that's not good enough. I'll be on site, or Paul will be on site talking to them first and going, oh, we're sorry for that. We'll capture that with our design group. We'll come back tomorrow morning and we'll discuss it again. And, that can be a big chunk of our day going and doing that, but it's necessary to enable these homes to be, still beautiful and functional and waterproof in 20, 30 years' time. So, you've, once again, when you're dealing with such a large asset for someone, you do have a duty of care to do all of those processes.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned hill sites before and topography and just different ways of building. Like, it must be a lot harder to build on the hill.
It's extremely difficult. There's a reason why, if you looked at the land value in Christchurch, sections on the hill are cheaper, for quite a big land mass. If you looked at the rates per square metre, there's a lot of costs that people don't understand. You could quite easily put 250,000, 500,000 just to get out of the ground.
Yeah, right.
And, that completely blows people's minds. And at that stage, we'll have a budget parameter that we need to work within. And we've got clients that will go, oh, what are the other options? And we'll go, oh, have you thought about a timber pole house? And then all of a sudden it becomes affordable. So there's just different construction methodologies where, there's an appreciation that everyone has of form and quality and construction materials and all that sort of thing. But you can still get that same look with good detailing and save a lot of money. So having those conversations early can always be beneficial. But yeah, it's people, the timelines for construction, the complexity with inspections with council, project delays, all sorts of things always seem to happen on the hill. But at the end of the day, that's, the one place where you'll be able to build and get a view of the Christchurch or a view of the sea. And I think at the end of that journey, most of the clients would be happy that they went through that process because, they just have this beautiful outlook.
Yeah, totally. Is it just me, or does it feel like the values are, you get a good amount of bang for your buck on the hill? Buying.
I think you do, yeah. Like with smart design, with good developers conditions, like, you want to have a developer that is doing things to a high standard. One area that I've been quite impressed with is Cashmere Estate. So that developer there is building all the retaining walls, which then a lot of other developers don't.
Right.
And that is a huge expense on a hill build. So if a client comes to me and goes, oh, we're looking in Cashmere Estate, I say, well, that's actually quite a good development because there's some beautiful architectural homes in there. There's an array of building companies that are fortunate enough to have clients that want to live there. And as you drive through the streets, there's a lot of young families and beautiful walks and mountain biking and sort of all the things that a lot of people go to the hills for, but you're still quite close to the city. And from there, we've got a few people that we're talking to and, saying, oh, where do you recommend we go? And I said, well, if a developer's doing one of the most expensive items on a hill build for you, that's probably a good start, whereas some people come, to us wanting to hang off the side of a cliff and I'll go, you realise that's volcanic rock under there. How deep is it? And they're like, oh, is it? But it's all that, I learned all of that, in school. So I know where all the volcanic rock is and I go, just so you're aware, we're going to have to try and drill through that to key into it so it doesn't roll down the hill. So there's all these conversations you have, but all of that information and data is available to, say, a professional geotechnical engineer. And we have all of these firms and consultants that we work with to gather all that information early on and then figure out whether it's feasible for the client. And, that's a tough conversation to have early, but I'd rather have that conversation right at the start and go, hey, I don't think we can afford to build here, rather than sell them the dream and give them a half-finished house.
Yeah. I mean, that's instantly makes me think about the whole process. If like you are a Joe Bloggs that's wanting to build a house,
Mm.
do you go to the architect first? Do you go to the builder first? Do you go find the site first?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I obviously have a bit more bias, being a design and build, we're an end-to-end company. So we have in-house design, we have a network of consultants, we will develop concepts, price them, get, prepared for a build contract, consent, develop the house, get the compliance with the council and hand over. That's not a normal structure for a building company. Normally, they will work with an architect and tender for a project. The only thing is with that style of construction is that you've got two people that aren't, necessarily working together. Like I like to say that we bridge the gap between the builder and the architect because we're working together, we're reviewing plans. We don't let our design team run away with a certain spec if we know it's going to cost too much for a client. So then we're not wasting money on design, and we look at it from an efficiency perspective of cladding and form and driveways and hardscaping, and from there you can start to QS a lot of that really early on and get a really good understanding of whether the client's budget is going to work. Whereas in my experience, a lot of the time when people go to architects, they don't have that knowledge because that's not their part of the piece. And they might go to a construction company for some advice, but at that point, the company doesn't know whether they're going to get the work or not.
Right.
So they don't give, I would spend hours going through plans and going through and checking things and sort of almost building a quick estimate, whereas they might just spit out a figure. And we've had clients come to us and distraught over that, where plans have been developed $1 million to, well, we had a client where a plan was developed $5 million over their budget. To me, it's crazy, but for that architect, most of their clients are in that $10 to $30 million space.
Right.
So it's just scale. It's just you know there's a lot of diversity within construction. There's residential, commercial. We like to fit into a cost-effective solution for people, like your everyday people that, want a personalized experience with the owners of the company and, someone that's passionate about the product for a cost-effective price. Because, I don't like wasting people's money.
Yeah, love that.
Mm.
Do you get many people that come to you and say, look, we're interested in building, but we don't have land yet?
Yes.
Can you help us with
Yeah.
that selection?
Yeah, so my stepmother is a real estate agent. So she's been with Harcourts about 20 years now. And a lot of the time, well, when we first started, we weren't quite sure whether that was crossing a boundary with clients. Hey, my stepmom's a real estate agent. Do you want to use her? But it became more and more natural in the fact that people actually knew of her in real estate or had a friend of a friend who had sold with her, or, she has quite a good name for herself.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, she has assisted with our clients getting land. And during that time period, before they put an offer in on the land, we could do what's called a feasibility study. And we do this case study where I'll review the land, the technical classification, whether it's TC 1, 2, or 3. We will look at a rough size concept plan that they want to put on the site and see how it all works. And from that, you can generally say to a client, okay, a house that big on this land will cost roughly this much. And then they can go and purchase the land with confidence, knowing that they can actually fit the house on the section. A lot of the time, clients will look at any size section and they can't envision in 3D where the house is going to sit or where the building parameters need to be. And so when you put that down on paper for them, it definitely gives them more confidence to purchase the land and then come and design and build with us.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And what about the other way around? If someone comes to you with land, obviously you just start the process from.
Yes, just
from
start
there.
it from there. Yeah.
Do you know much about the financing part of it?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we do have a build finance company we work with. A lot of the time, for most of our clients, it's, like anyone, bank funded. It's not often you have people that have private funding. And because of that, I've always got in the back of my mind to be cost conscious because it has to stack up for the bank. Otherwise, you could go through this whole process, sell them a dream, bank will say no. And one of the, that can be hard sometimes because it's for some people that could be information they don't want to share. But I just say, look, if we just know, what spec and parameter we're working with, if it's private funded and you want to spend as much money as you want, you can. But if it needs to be approved by the bank, it has to stack up. So we'll start looking at comparable properties in the area. And at that point, you might start to think, oh, is this, this land that you've purchased, are you sure you want to do it to this spec? Because and you just have that honest conversation with them and go, you might be building the best house on the street. Are you going to live there for 20 years? Are you going to get that return back? And I think people respect that. They respect that honesty because once again, you're not acting as a salesperson then. You're almost doing a bad job as a salesperson, but I just prefer to be honest with people.
Yeah.
I think if you're genuine and you're honest, you can't go wrong.
I think you're right, yeah. And if you don't win that deal, then it's going to just be good karma.
Yeah. And it might, and sometimes that happens. And we've had clients that have come to us and it's been outside of our scope and they're probably requiring more of a prominent architect and maybe one of the top architectural builders in Christchurch. And at that point, I would probably advise them to go and talk to them because that's their part of the market. And that's, you don't have to take on every project. There's a lot of work for everyone. And I think, if you're in the mindset that we're all in it in the industry together to do a good job, yeah, most business owners you talk to in construction know they don't have to win every project.
Totally.
That they'll swing in roundabouts. So you just have to, be honest and obviously not slander other businesses and, just say, hey, generally if they're a master builder, touch wood, they've gone through a process to and auditing. They are some of the better operators, and the consumer has a general trust that they'll do the right thing and build to a good spec and so forth.
Yeah, I think a lot of things are about alignment and working with people that you're aligned on. Professional, personal, likability. Like it's a merger of all those things, right?
Yeah, well, we just had a potential client. We did a concept design for them. We were competing against another company here in Christchurch. He came back to us and said, "Hey, I'm going to go with this other person. Already have a relationship with them." Looked him in the eye, sat in here for another hour, talked about how excited he is to build them, and I said I was happy. I was genuinely happy for him, because they are another great building company, and I'm glad that he aligns with them. And he's had the fact that he's chosen them over us, that's fine. It's not meant to be. And I just said to him, I'm just really glad that, for me, you're using another master builder because there are protections and things in place for the quality.
Yeah. What is that? Is it like an annual subscription to master builders?
Yeah, so to become a master builder, it's quite a process. They don't accept a lot of people. And what they have is a master build guarantee. So a lot of people will see houses for sale with a master build guarantee attached to them. So that can go to the next property owner, can be transferred. And what it is you have a 12-month maintenance period. So, you have your 1 month checkup with your client, you have a 6-month checkup, and during that time, you've printed them a set of plans and some notes. And, we build timber houses here in New Zealand, well, mostly. So they do move and they do settle, and there might be the odd pop screw or a little imperfection in the paint, or there might be an imperfection in the flooring, and little things will get missed. But during those sessions and during the time that someone starts to live in a house and notices those, as long as they let us know, it is our part of our service that we come in and fix them. And our contractors will come in and fix them as well. And because of that, you just get, you can capture a lot of things in that 12-month that would leave a lot of homeowners potentially disappointed. But we're just very upfront and say, hey, we're building with timber. It's a natural material. It's going to move. Don't worry, we'll be back to fix it, but just let it settle. Let it have its first summer. Let it have its first winter. And then from there, you'll end up with a very good product at the end.
Yeah, cool. What would be the top couple of questions that most people ask?
Oh, I'd say a lot of people come in and ask us what's our square meter rate.
Oh, yeah.
And with custom design and build, when you're doing one-off plans, it's really difficult because, we're not repeating plans consistently in a row of 100 houses in a subdivision.
So it varies so much.
It does. All that we say to people is, do you have some inspiration? And then from there, we can base an estimated price off that. But yeah, I'd have to say most people, come and go, oh, well, what's your typical square meter rate? And I say, well, how long's a piece of string?
Totally.
Are you wanting to spend, $400,000 or 400 million?
Yeah. It is that ridiculous of a question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Do you think that just indicates that they're not at a serious level of buying?
Somewhat. I think you'll have people that are, there's always, with doing any sales, there's always walls that you have to break down through conversation and, building trust. And I think some of those people, you might have found that they got burned on a previous build, or they bought a house off someone else and something was wrong with it. There's always a rationale behind it, or they've got kids that they're trying to, put through high school. There's all these roadblocks, and all I say is just tell me the story, and then we can work from there. Because, as long as you're willing to realize that you might come into the show home and this might not be the overall product that you get, the quality will be the same. And once again, quality is non-negotiable. And all of our contractors that we've used here on a national award-winning home will be used on your house, no matter what you spend. So I think that's a pretty cool standpoint. The quality doesn't go down because they're spending less.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, I guess it could sometimes be them asking a question that they don't necessarily know the context or want to know the answer, but it's just their way of opening the conversation.
Yeah, and during our initial sign-up period, we ask for a budget parameter. And once again, that's a really hard question. And some people don't want to give it away. And I just go, look, I need something to work off. I said, it doesn't mean we're going to go to that price, but I just need something to start with. And, during design and build, it might be that people go bigger or smaller with their houses, and different specs increase and decrease. But at the end of the day, you're always trying to work to somewhat of a nominal figure. But it can be difficult having people understand that we can't just do like a turnkey price, because, that's worked out by a QS that's done 100 of the same houses. And generally our clientele aren't wanting that same house, and that's why they haven't bought it. That's why they're coming to us, because we're a point of difference in the market.
Yeah, cool. Any other FAQs? Any other recurring questions that keep coming up?
I would say, for us, we go to the Canterbury Home Show in October each year, and a lot of people have been worried about the state of the construction sector and the way that the cost increases have gone up so much since COVID times. And the cost of general construction, could have increased overall by about 35%. And, clients sometimes struggle to comprehend and understand that. But then I just relay it back to, during COVID, how much did your property value go up? A lot of them go, oh, double. I go, well, construction's gone up 35%. So it's all relative.
Yeah.
And people were quick to forget that. And unfortunately, for a lot of people, $1 million isn't a lot of money to, design and build a house anymore. Like for a house and land, that's almost starting to become more of an entry level price. And the consumer's expectations are still, extremely high, because we do have, or I think in New Zealand we have a good construction code, and we build warm, dry, healthy homes, and most companies abide by that really well. All of that costs money, and you'll have people try and compare us to Australian prices, and I'll go, hey, those windows that you're seeing in that house, they're single glazed. We double glaze single glazed windows here, and we're doing thermally broken or triple glazed, or we're always going above code. So yeah, it's uncertainty with price is also a really big one. And that's where our national supply agreements give us as a company certainty. And we can, essentially fix a lot of those costs through different agreements that our, national management structure put in place for us.
Are there two different ways of building in terms of pricing? Is there like fixed price and
there
cost
is.
plus?
Yeah, so we generally, do about an 80% fixed, 20% provisional sum. So a lot of our clients will have an element where they want certain construction costs fixed, like your frame and your roofing and maybe your windows and your concrete floor and a few other things. But the areas of unknowns are normally your fixtures and your kitchens and a lot of the stuff you see. So during our process, we can sort of work with a client to, fix as much as we can. But there does have to be an element of, if we're doing a dig out and we find a buried car or a septic tank or soak pit or anything, that's an extra cost and we can't as a company fix that. And when a client goes, oh, but such and such is offering to fix that, you say, well, respectfully, you look at how many companies have liquidated in the last couple of years, all of those companies had a fixed price structure. So, we're safeguarding our clients for that and safeguarding their investment. And that's through good business management, I believe. And, you shouldn't be needing to fix all of those costs with the client. You just need to be upfront and go, hey, there's a reason why we can't do this. This is why. Do you agree with that? A lot of them will with your rationale.
Yeah.
With a cost plus contract, uh, essentially a lot of the market will do a cost plus with, higher end builds, where clients want to know where every cent is going in the project. But with a cost plus, I just make the client very aware that they are taking on the risk that we take as a building company. So although they may think the costs are going to be cheaper because they can micromanage it, you say, look, if there's any increase, you have to pay for that. And when you relay that to them and they've got a bank funding the money and a few other roadblocks, they go, actually, we would like to go more of a fixed, which is a sort of a standard schedule for us.
Yeah, right.
Mm.
Gotcha. Just mindful of time here, Alex. Um, any other thing that you would say to someone that's like maybe on the precipice of looking to either build or, if they're on the fence, right? If they're like, oh, I might build or I might just buy a used house.
Yeah, I would say a lot of the people that come into us have looked to buy for a long time. And there's always been parts of a house that they haven't liked, or their family's expanding, or they need to get in a certain zoning for school. There's always a huge amount of, you know, background research that our clients have gone into. And normally they will come to us after going through that process and going to hundreds of open homes and figuring, hey, maybe we're a little bit different and we want something customized. And I think it's really cool when you find them at that part of their journey because they're ready to go. They know in their mind that it's not oh, I wonder if I can find a house like this already because they've looked.
Yeah.
And I think that with anything, our CEO said to us about 6 months ago, said, look, with the construction sector the way it is at the moment, the clients that we have are going to be getting the best value, the best price, the best contractors, the best workmanship because the sector isn't run off its feet. And as soon as it becomes barbecue chat, it's almost too late. And you'll notice a lot of the people, with the biggest amounts of money, they're moving now. There's some massive architectural houses being built. And they're doing that because they see that value and they capitalize on that. And it's unfortunate because you'll probably have the first home buyers market take the brunt of that, which it's a shame because they're the people that can't afford that. But the construction costs will start going up as they always do because property prices are going up.
Yeah.
And inflation and cost of living, everything. And I just think, if anyone wants to come in and have a chat, do it now. It's land you can negotiate on. You can get beautiful materials at a really cost-efficient price. For context, the price of cedar is half what it used to be.
Wow.
Like these products that people couldn't afford, you can afford now. So I just think, now is as good a time as it's ever going to be. And we have got a good amount of clients doing that and seeing the value and savings in that.
Yeah, nice. I guess interest rates are on the way down / quite
Yes.
low now too, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, it's, we never rush people, with some big projects, if it drops 1%, all of a sudden it can work. And you do have to have a lot of patience. But I think with a good broker and an open mind and a willingness to take an uncomfortable step into the design and build world, you'll find once people, move into these homes, they're really happy they did it. And, how often can people say there's no other house like this in New Zealand?
Pretty
It's a
cool.
pretty unique standpoint.
Absolutely.
Mm,
Yeah. And I guess if there is an opportunity to come and have a look at this place at some point,
definitely.
it's so good.
Yeah. Come along to 40 Raeburn Ave, Papanui in
Yeah.
Christchurch.
How do you do it? Do you do scheduled showings or?
Yeah, so because we aren't in a typical show home village or subdivision, we do view by appointment during the week, Monday to Friday. I work out of here, every day. We're having one of our designers, Daniel, moving in tomorrow as well. He's come from Hawke's Bay, so
Cool.
we're really excited to have him here.
Yeah.
And yeah, from there, it's view by appointment during the week, and we're open every Saturday and Sunday from 11 a.m. till 3 p.m. So, if you see the flags up, come in and have a chat.
Love that.
Mm.
So good. Hey, thanks for your time.
Yeah, thanks for your time as well. It was good to catch up.
Always.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Alex.